Oh, hello there. Didn't see you there. Yeah, so I'm just here to try to spread a little holiday cheer or holiday fear, depending on the way you look at it. But to be honest, with the way this year's been going, I know that we probably don't need much more of that. But either way, I said we go out with a bang, and here's a list of my top 5 holiday horrors. But anyway, without any more BS, let's go ahead and get moving with the list. Starting with number 5, Better Watch Out, which follows a babysitter who travels to a suburban home to babysit a 12-year-old son, Luke, during the holidays. But she must soon defend herself and the young boy when unwelcome intruders announce their arrival. Better Watch Out was actually one of the more fun holiday horrors released in the past few years, but I'm actually putting it at number 5 because it just wasn't as memorable as the others to me. Although it was fairly entertaining enough and actually held my interest for the most part, I felt like that was the reason why it needed to be a part of this list, but it just barely made it. So moving on to number 4 in my list, which is going to be the movie P2. P2 follows a young lady named Angela who is working late on Christmas Eve when she finally decides to leave and her car won't crank. Thomas, the garage's security guard, offers to help and also invites her to dinner, but she refuses. Thomas then decides to lose his shit, knocks her out and ties her up. Now Angela must fight for her life in order to escape the parking garage. P2 is probably what I would consider to be a pretty basic cat and mouse game, but it's very enjoyable and it actually had some really suspenseful moments. And I really wouldn't say that it actually tries to do anything out of the norm, and I think it's probably what you may expect from a movie like this. But the way it's shot really feels immersive as a viewer, and you can pretty much get caught up in it if you're not careful. It's a decent movie, so I had to add it on the list. And also keep in mind, as I go through this countdown, these films are mainly guilty pleasures, and I'm not really rating these films based off of quality, just mainly fun weird shit that you can laugh at and may have a couple jump scares here and there, you know. But anyway, on to the next one, which is gonna be number 3. Await further instructions. So on Christmas Day, a family wakes up to find a mysterious black substance surrounding their home and a TV screen broadcast that shows a single message: stay indoors and await further instructions. So I really enjoyed how wild Await Further Instructions was. And if you see the trailers, you really don't have much of a choice but to go into a film like this completely blind. I mean, the constant eerie, ominous vibes I got during this film from the very beginning was just, it was very satisfying. They keep that vibe throughout the whole film, and you know, it's a good feeling if that's the type of film that you're looking for. And now for number 2 on the list, Dead End. So when a family en route to a Christmas Eve gathering decides to take a shortcut down a wooded road, an eerie sequence of events begin to occur, leaving the family trapped in a loop, unable to escape the road. Dead End was actually another fun Christmas horror with actually a lot of comedy elements as well. This is a pretty funny movie. It's actually probably the funniest on the list, and I know we're going for horror here, but you know, nothing wrong with throwing a little bit of comedy in too. And it's mainly the funniest on the list in terms of intentional humor, and not necessarily because it's terrible, although I can see some people looking at this film that way. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the ending, I actually had a good time with the range of mysterious, fun, and kind of gruesome moments throughout the movie, and it's definitely worth checking out. And now for my number 1 pick. So I'm kind of breaking some rules here because this one really isn't a Christmas horror film, but hear me out. Now, to me, it feels that way because it has sort of like a winter cozy vibe to it, but with all the strange, unusual shit thrown in on top of that. And that film is my number 1 pick, Pontypool. About a radio host, Grant Maisie, who reports to his basement radio station in a Canadian town of Pontypool and thinks it's just another day at work. But when he hears reports of a virus that turns people into zombies, Maisie barricades himself in the radio booth and tries to figure out a way to warn his listeners about the virus and how it's contracted through the English language. This is a film that I've always loved, and that's probably why I kind of forcefully threw it in on the list, but it's mainly because of the originality of the horror it brings. Now, I'm just gonna say this. I think you have to have a very open mind to watch a film like this without immediately labeling it as some dumb shit. I mean, it really takes an unorthodox approach to the whole zombie apocalypse trend. And honestly, I think it's kind of brilliant. So yeah, if you're looking for some off the wall shit, check out Pontypool, man. And there's my top 5 holiday horror films. But before I go, there's one honorable mention that I would like to throw in. And that film is Wind Chill, starring Emily Blunt. Young Emily Blunt, actually. She plays a young woman who asks a classmate for a lift home after their university goes on a winter break. The two students set off on their trip and begin to get to know each other. But when a reckless motorist drives them off the road, they find themselves stranded in the snow on a remote highway, and as the night grows colder, the two are confronted by a horde of menacing apparitions and struggle to escape with their lives. So this one's enjoyable as well, and it stars young Emily Blunt, not super young Emily Blunt, but young Emily Blunt before her career really took off. But this one's worth checking out. It just didn't make my top 5 list. But there you have it. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you've seen any of these films and you agree or disagree with my top 5 list. Also, let me know down below what your holiday horror list would look like. But thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe.